Right now, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a container ship the size of an empire is cutting through 40-foot waves. Inside one of those steel containers sits 50,000 lawnmowers, all headed toward a single destination, an unseen network that moves millions of tons of raw physical matter across the planet every single day. Most people look at a store with an orange logo and think they are looking at a hardware shop, a place you visit when you need a tub of spackle or a box of drywall screws. But that is a complete illusion. What you are actually looking at is an industrial physical vascular system, a high-speed logistical freight machine designed to capture a permanent tax on the physical world. While everyday consumers think retail is won on smartphone apps and slick digital interfaces, this company built a fortress out of sheer physical weight. Steel, timber, and concrete. By the time this video finishes, you will understand how this machine actually operates, where the real billions are extracted, why digital tech giants are utterly powerless to stop it, and why the entire economy depends on this hidden industrial network. When you drive past one of their 2,000-plus locations, you see a parking lot filled with suburban minivans on a Saturday afternoon. You see homeowners picking out paint colors, looking at patio furniture, or buying a new garden hose. That is the visible retail store, the quiet surface level designed for the public. But underneath that surface lies a brutal operational engine built for an entirely different customer base, before the sun even hits the asphalt, long before the front doors unlock for regular shoppers. The perimeter of the store is already surrounded by heavy industrial vehicles. Flatbed trucks, commercial trailers, and construction vans are lined up at 5 in the morning, loading thousands of pounds of raw material in complete silence. These are not everyday shoppers. These are commercial contractors, industrial builders, and professional trade specialists. They represent a tiny percentage of total store visits, yet they fuel nearly half of the company's entire multi-billion-dollar revenue, which brings us to a massive financial mystery. If professional builders drive the real profits, why spend billions of dollars building massive suburban retail stores for everyday families in the first place? Why not just operate private industrial warehouses hidden away in cheap industrial parks? The answer lies in a hidden cross-subsidization strategy that almost no standard consumer ever notices. The retail customer, the weekend DIY homeowner, pays full retail price for high-margin small items like light switches, drill bits, and chemical cleaners. Those tiny plastic items carry profit margins reaching 40, 50, or even 60%. That massive retail profit margin directly funds the overhead of keeping the enormous warehouse open, lit, and fully staffed, which means the high-margin retail customer effectively subsidizes the low-margin, bulk-volume goods sold to commercial contractors. It is a dual-engine financial setup where one side pays for the building, while the other side drives massive global scale. So, how does a company manage to move billions of pounds of heavy wood, steel, and stone into thousands of local neighborhoods without drowning in transportation costs? They didn't just build stores. They constructed one of the largest private freight networks on the surface of the earth. While traditional retailers ship small cardboard boxes through third-party parcel services, this machine operates its own massive cross-docking distribution hubs. When a factory produces 20,000 bags of concrete, those bags never sit in a standard holding facility. They are loaded directly into specialized transport hubs, where pallets move from inbound ocean containers directly onto local store delivery trucks in less than 45 minutes. The inventory almost never touches a traditional shelf floor. It remains in constant physical motion until it lands directly on an active construction site. This leads to a mind-bending operational metric known as velocity. They often sell the lumber, the piping, and the tools off the floor before the invoice from the factory is even due for payment. Think about what that means for their bank account. They collect cash from the customer on day 1, but they don't pay the manufacturer who built the product until day 90. For 3 full months, billions of dollars of non-allocated capital sit in their corporate bank accounts, earning interest, funding expansion, and buying back stock. They are essentially running a multi-billion-dollar cash float, using vendor money to fund their own corporate expansion. Why would global manufacturers submit to such aggressive, one-sided financial arrangements? Because this company controls the most critical physical bottleneck in North American real estate: proximity. Over 90% of the entire American population lives within 10 miles of one of their locations. If a tool manufacturer or lumber mill wants access to the American consumer, they must pass through this physical toll booth. The company uses this geographic leverage to shift almost all operational risk back onto the supplier. If a power tool stays on the shelf for too long, the supplier pays a holding fee if an item is returned by a customer. The supplier often absorbs the total financial loss. The company isn't operating as a typical store merchant. It is acting as a high-priced industrial landlord, leasing shelf space to international manufacturers. But even with thousands of local stores and massive supplier power, how do they protect themselves against the ultimate modern retail predator? Why hasn't e-commerce, with its infinite warehouse space and algorithmic delivery, rendered these giant physical boxes obsolete? The answer comes down to the brutal, unbreakable laws of physical physics. Selling a 10-ounce book online and dropping it into a mailbox costs pennies. Shipping an 80-pound bag of wet concrete mix, or a 16-foot pressure-treated timber beam to a residential front door, completely destroys digital logistics margins. The sheer weight, bulk, and awkward geometry of structural building materials make standard home delivery ridiculously expensive. When an e-commerce giant attempts to ship heavy raw materials across the country, delivery costs instantly exceed the actual value of the product itself. Furthermore, construction projects do not run on 2-day shipping schedules. When a master plumber is standing in a flooded basement at 7 in the morning, waiting 48 hours for a $5 replacement valve is not an option. They need that part in 5 minutes. The physical store network acts as thousands of immediate, micro-fulfillment centers operating inside every major population cluster. The physical weight of the products, combined with the absolute urgency of home repairs, creates an impenetrable moat that digital retail simply cannot cross. Which brings us to a terrifying structural risk hiding behind this industrial operational engine. What happens to this massive, high-cost physical infrastructure when interest rates skyrocket, and home sales plunge to multi-year lows? When mortgage rates double, housing transactions slow to a crawl, and big-budget commercial housing construction slows down. Common economic logic suggests this should crush their financial engine, yet the exact opposite occurs. When interest rates remain high, people stop moving into new homes. Instead, they are trapped in the aging homes they already own, and aging homes require constant, mandatory maintenance. Roof shingles degrade, water heaters fail, wooden decks rot, and old piping breaks down. Furthermore, homeowners who cannot afford to move decide to upgrade their existing space instead, replacing kitchens, updating bathrooms, and rebuilding fences. If the economy booms, they profit from massive new construction and luxury renovations. If the economy stalls, they profit from emergency repairs, structural maintenance, and home preservation. The entire physical infrastructure is engineered to extract profit regardless of which direction the macroeconomic wind is blowing. Every single structural element, from the concrete floors designed to withstand heavy forklifts, to the soaring 30-foot ceilings that double as vertical warehousing, is built for pure operational efficiency. They do not waste capital on carpeted floors, decorative ceilings, or unnecessary aesthetic luxury. The industrial, unpolished aesthetic is a calculated psychological weapon. It tells the professional contractor that this is a serious work site, while convincing the everyday homeowner that they are buying products at raw wholesale cost. It is a masterclass in behavioral architecture, turning operational frugality into consumer trust. Now, look at where this entire industry is heading in the coming decade. As the national housing stock continues to age, with the average home now over 40 years old, the demand for heavy physical infrastructure goods is entering an unprecedented cycle. They are currently deploying automated robotic distribution facilities capable of processing thousands of heavy pallets every single hour. They are integrating job site delivery tracking apps that allow massive construction firms to dispatch materials straight to active framing sites with real-time precision. They are transforming from a simple chain of physical stores into a unified physical network for the entire construction economy. When you step back and analyze this vast, industrial operation, a completely new reality emerges. This company didn't become a multi-billion-dollar empire by simply selling hammers and paint buckets. They built an inescapable physical toll booth on human shelter itself. They understood a fundamental economic truth that most modern tech companies completely overlook. Software can automate information, but humans will always live inside physical structures made of wood, stone, and steel. And as long as gravity, weather, and time continue to wear down the physical world, this silent logistical machine will be standing right around the corner, taking its cut on every single nail driven into the earth.